Hi, my name is Micah Donnelly, and I'll be doing this presentation for my English 111 class. We will be doing a literary analysis on a short story, and my short story that I decided to choose was called The Sniper by Mr. Liam O'Flaherty. And just to give a little fun fact into this, and I found out actually fought in the Irish Civil War, and that would be the setting, but we'll get into that. So to start off the beginning of the short story, we want to start off with our setting. So the setting was during the Irish Civil War in the early 1920s, but it was published in 1923. And like I said, it is a fiction story. It's not based off of his real life events that occurred when he was in the war, but he did want to give a pretty good description, though, on what he had to go through and also kind of some of the PTSD and the kind of the horrors that happened during that war. So it was based off of an unnamed sniper. He was on a rooftop during this war in Dublin, and it was also he was there all day long. So the setting of the story begins at nighttime. So my main thesis is diving deep into history with this story. It shows that there is use of situational irony, symbolism, and vivid imagery to argue that civil war is exceptionally tragic because it turns people into enemies before they even realize they are destroying their own humanity and possible family ties. So, as you can see from my thesis, I have three specific literary elements. We have irony, symbolism, and imagery. We're going to go ahead and start off with irony. So with irony, we're looking at real situational irony, something that really bases itself off of feelings. And the best example I can give you is in this story is more of a satisfied and curious feeling that our character had, but then was immediately shattered. So the irony of that was pretty tragic for our main character. So we're looking at the brutality of the war and how it affects individuals differently. So Turner 1926 stated irony has an emotional element which is hard to mistake. It is when the attention is diverted to the dramatic setting. And I'll give a couple of examples from the story. So, number one, the sniper looked at his enemy falling and he shuddered. This basically has the sniper looking at his enemy as a target, not really anything else, not really looking at him as a human being. Then we have he had won. So the sniper thinks he has achieved victory. Then number three, then the sniper turned over the dead body and looked into his brother's face. This is where he thinks he's killed an enemy, but it's actually his brother. Last one, the lust of battle died in him. So the excitement fades once true consequences are revealed. Next, we have symbolism. Symbolism is more of an emotional consequence in our story, and a lot of it is based off of the poor tragedy that this poor character is realizing at the end of the barrel of his gun, to be honest. And we're really trying to connect the reader emotionally to this story. So this next scholarly article states, symbolism plays a significant role in literature because it is one of the most important aspects of serious imaginative literature, and I cannot agree more. So here are some examples from the story. So the long June twilight faded into night. This basically brings up a darkness symbolizing confusion and danger. So next we have the rifle cracked. This statement is more of talking about the rifle and how the rifle has this type of power and violence behind it. Then we have our third one, which is he had the upper hand, which symbolizes temporary control and false confidence. Next and last, we have imagery. Imagery is something that a lot of stories have that want to build you in and create some type of imagery and tension and even sometimes some suspense like this short story. And we also emphasize isolation during this story because the sniper is isolated on the roof by himself. And we're placing that reader inside that story and really emphasizing where and how that conflict goes. So quotes from this reading is the dim light of the moon shone through the clouds. So basically that is giving more of an imagery of where the setting is taking place in that story. Then we have the sniper lay still for a long time nursing his wounded arm. That's when he got shot. So you can physically see him sitting there holding his arm while it is bleeding. Next, we have the bullets flatten themselves against the wall. So we can physically see those bullets hitting that wall. And the heavy guns roared. Everyone knows the sound of gunfire. So the key takeaway during all of this story, we have irony, symbolism, and imagery, like I stated. We have the expectation versus reality in the irony. Like I said, we're going from more of a happy, oh my goodness, I shot and killed my person, to oh my goodness, that's my brother. Then we have our symbolism, something that stands for something else. What was the meaning of the rifle? Oh, power and violence. So, lastly, we have imagery, words that create a mental picture or experience. Like I said, we're looking at the imagery of the dawn twilight and the June twilight. So, the use of both of these basically want to continue to argue with the exceptional tragic, it's so tragic because it turns people into enemies before they even realize they're destroying their own humanity and possibly family ties. And this story really hits home for me just because I have a father that went to Afghanistan back in 2012, and it really sticks with me to know that the hardships that he went through, he still does not want to talk about it. So, thank you for listening to my quick little short literary analysis on The Sniper, and thank you for watching.